Listen, it ain't nothing you could bring me that I didn't either try or even looked into. And I can tell you if it works or it don't work. That discharge crap don't work. So when people come bringing that to you, discharges, don't lose your property following that. Trust me, y'all gonna run into that. Right? So I did all that, did the discharge, wrote these money orders up, got brought into court, questioned, almost got this, but I was smart enough to be able to answer the questions appropriately. So finally, the bank brought me into court. This is how I know you can shut lawyers down in the courts. I've been there. I'm not telling you something I've read on a piece of paper. I did it. So the lawyer comes in. They did what you call a claim 420 to get the vehicle back. But I said, I don't have a vehicle. It was here in Georgia. This is in South Carolina. I don't have a vehicle. The vehicle is not in my possession. Said, you know where it is? I said, it's not in my possession. They kept trying to get me to say, give them where it was. So when I got my turn to speak, I said, first of all, I want everything this lawyer says stricken for the record because he's a stranger to me. He's an attorney representing the bank, and the bank's not here. And the judge said, you're absolutely right. And I screwed up by saying more than I should have. I should have shut up right then and there. And I started saying, well, I don't know. I don't have the vehicle in my possession. So they skipped that part and moved on. That's why I should have stayed right there. The whole case would have been dismissed and I'd have been done with it right then and there. But long story short, they got a judgment to get the car from me. So they sent the sheriff to a house I wasn't living at. But they know where I was, so they called me. I got on the phone with the sheriff. I said, look, will you read the order? The order said it ain't in my possession. She said, you know what, it's right. You ain't got the vehicle. Why are they sending me to get this from you when it says you don't have it? The order specifically said they can get it, but the vehicle is not in my possession. So wherever they find it, they can get it. But it wasn't even in their jurisdiction. It was in Georgia. So those cases only have jurisdiction for South Carolina. So they couldn't get the vehicle. Long story short, they did what happened to whoever said they got that 1099. They did that to me. I get no bill. Said I owe somebody. Why? Because I had stuff in place where I hit the IRS saying, explain these deals to me that I owe this. Plus, I'm not doing contracts with them. See, you probably did a tax return that same year you opened up a contract for them to even do that. There's no open contract for me to be involved in that. So they can't say I owe or whatever because I didn't do a tax return and not put that on it. See, when you did your tax return, to them, it looked like you left out the 1099. Now they're adding it in and saying you owe it. That's basically, they redid your tax return for you. See, I don't have a contract where they could say, okay, you left out. See, those things are just statements of which they making claims. So what happens is when I do a tax return, someone into a statement 1099A. Now I'm doing a tax return, I left it out. There's no balancing. So they're gonna balance it out for me. Unless I dispute it. See, if you disputed that would have never been added into your tax return. You didn't dispute it. So then they go and say, well, you owe us some money. Boom, boom, boom. They said they mail it, and they love mailing to wrong addresses. They do. So that's why you got to, IRS letters are just like third-party debt collectors. Answer them within 30 days. If you don't, it becomes real, okay? So with the car, they did the 1099A. Oh, okay, great. Now I don't owe it. And then they sent me a statement that I owe them no more money. Now my only problem is I don't have the title to the truck. I don't care. But guess what? I just keep dealer plates on it. I don't care. Dealer plates on it. I don't even insure it because then insure means I have to register it. Then that might bring up that order, all of that stuff. But once I get the title, I won't have to worry about that no more. Because what I'll do is take the title and sell it to my trust. Now it's under the trust and no one can touch it. New title, no one can touch that trust. They still can't touch it now because that order, that was like almost 3 years ago now. It's done. So with that car, just unless you want to sell it, that's the only time. and that static are being sacrificed. And that's, if your stuff's not available, they can't hear it. Sometimes you gotta feel your way through the dark, and I struggled all the way up into the minute. Peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to all you guys.
This is Hindsight Radio. I represent it. The information station changing the nation.
Peace. What's up? Let's check the volume. It sounds good. Sounds good to me. All right, what's going on, everybody? Can y'all hear me? Am I coming in loud and clear? Let's make sure. Well, while y'all getting back to me on whether y'all can hear me or not. Let's see. Let me show y'all the flyer. They said loud and clear. Good, thank you. This is the flyer for this coming weekend on Saturday. Let me put it up in the corner over here out of the way. That's the flyer. May 24th, 2025, 10 a.m. to 5. A lot of good information. It's going to be at the Crystal Ballroom, 240 East 123rd Street, New York, 10035. My home, my blessed stomping grounds of old. Sometimes I think about going back home. I don't know. Maybe I will one day. Children are getting, all my children are grown. That'd be funny going back to New York City. I don't know. If I go back to New York, it'd have to be the upstate. So, like the suburban. I don't know if I could live back in the city and deal with all the rules of parking on other side of the street. But then I would probably get rid of my car living in New York because, parking and they got congestion tolls in the city is ridiculous. I'll just take public transportation, and when I really need to drive somewhere, I'll just go rent a car. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. Because I can't deal with that, parking my car and then have to worry about it being on the right side of the street. I got to have a place where I can drive up in the driveway and call it a day. I'm so spoiled with that being in the South. Where's everybody at? Where's it? Y'all don't like me no more? Well, I look forward to seeing you guys. There's all the information. I'm going to leave it up there throughout the show. We're going to talk about jurisdiction today. Because after talking to someone last week, and they were getting some advice from someone, and just to give you the context of the case, it's a lawsuit being, suing an entity that this person initiated a lawsuit. So they were getting some coaching on what they should do in their case, and this person started talking about you got to make sure you have jurisdiction. Now, y'all heard what I just said, that the person that they were talking to initiated the lawsuit. They're filing a civil suit against an entity. They initiated it. But the person that was giving them advice said, you got to make sure you have jurisdiction and then you got to enforce the Constitution. And the only thing I agree with enforcing the Constitution is based on the substance of the case, the merits of the case is got to do with constitutional violations. And this is why they were suing. use Constitution only and blah blah blah. And then they would just say you gotta make sure you have jurisdiction, and they kept talking about this jurisdiction. Wait a minute. Let me see the other stuff. Let me see. I gotta go back. Refresh my memory. They said you have to establish jurisdiction. You gotta come in with equity, and you gotta, right, pro pia persona, right, have established jurisdiction with their own seal. They gotta get their own seal. Now, I'm gonna say it again. This person brought the suit, and the suit is well on its way. It's heading towards negotiations, and if the negotiations fail, they'll go into a trial, right? Now, if you understand anything about court, court ABCs, to me, it's the ABCs. If I'm the one going to a particular court and I'm already at the negotiation phase of it, discovery phases, I've been through all that, then the jurisdiction of the court has already been established. You see? So why is someone counseling you need to establish jurisdiction? What that means, they don't even understand what jurisdiction is, what that means. So we're going to talk about jurisdiction today. What is jurisdiction? What is the court's jurisdiction? Let me give an overview of it. Because jurisdiction is deep. There's all types of jurisdiction. But there's the main jurisdiction you need to worry about in court when you're dealing with a civil case. Subject matter jurisdiction, personal jurisdiction, and what's the venue jurisdiction. Are you in the right court for them to hear this matter? I can't take a child support case into a general civil case. I have to take it into family court, right? A family court hears domestic matters, dealing with child support and custody rights and stuff like that, right? I can't just walk into the state court and sue the federal IRS for a tax matter because that's not the right venue. So they don't have jurisdiction to hear that. The venue is wrong and the subject matter. They can't hear that subject matter. What is the subject matter? So I can't go into a regular state court with a tax case against the federal. That wrong venue, wrong subject matter. You can't. It's all the way around. Personal jurisdiction. What is that? I have to be the merits of the case must involve or be in the jurisdiction of that court. So if I'm having a problem with my neighbor in a certain county and I take him into court, I have to go into the county of that where that matter can be heard. I got to sue him in that court, in that county, that personal jury. That means I live, or do they call it residing, in that county. Like if I do a name change, they want name changes done typically in the county you reside in. It's jurisdiction. Let's go to this. Let's do this. Jurisdiction is very important because some of the things we do give court jurisdiction. Right? I tell you guys to set up your churches so that you can be sovereign from oversight of the IRS and any other governmental entity. Don't incorporate. Unincorporate. You have an unincorporated association. That's your church. That's what churches generally are. They should always be unincorporated. They should not incorporate as a nonprofit. Because if they do that, what? They fall into the jurisdiction of the governing statutes for nonprofit organizations. If I have a birth certificate, if I get a birth certificate through the state, I have to abide by the governing statutes of that control birth certificates. If I get a driver's license, I have to abide by the governing statutes that govern driver's license. Jurisdiction. So if I initiate a civil suit, I just give the court personal jurisdiction. And if it's in the right court, it's subject matter jurisdiction. It's the right venue, it's venue jurisdiction. I give them everything. So for someone to tell someone you need to establish jurisdiction and make sure the jurisdiction, it's already been established. That's nothing to talk about. Now, in a criminal matter, that's a civil matter. A criminal matter, you got to make sure they don't have jurisdiction, right? Or if it's like a debt collector is suing you, you got to kill jurisdiction, right? Wait a minute. Where's the witnesses here? The court can't rule on this matter without proper evidence. They don't have the subject matter, proper subject matter to make a proper ruling without the proper evidence to rule on. But let's go back to criminal matters. Jurisdiction is everything in criminal matters. Because why? What do they have a jurisdiction over? They have personal jurisdiction over that birth certificate. So the name on the social, that personal jurisdiction over that. If they have that information, they're going to try to gain personal jurisdiction over it through you submitting and answering for it instead of being an agent for it. There's a difference. You're an agent of those entities. An agent for the entity. You're not the entity. When they call you now, hey, listen, Roland, hey, yeah, I'm agent for that. And a lot of people like to say corporation. It's not a corporation. I've probably even said that. And I shouldn't have. It's not a corporation. It's a partnership with the county, the state, and the federal government, depending on the documents you're holding in that name. So if my only document I'm holding in that name is a driver's license, then it's in partnership with the Department of Motor Vehicles under the direction of the commissioner of the DMV. If I'm holding a Social Security card, I'm in the jurisdiction of the United States and Congress assembled. So the governing body of that is the Social Security Administration. And I recommend that you read the rules. Read the rules. So let me give you some types of jurisdiction. Jurisdiction means a lot when it comes to criminal. And you must make it clear where the jurisdiction of the court lies and relates to you. Okay, so one type of jurisdiction, and I've said these. Definition: the subject matter jury. The court's authority to hear cases of particular type or relating to a specific subject matter. Family court would be divorce, custody, probate, be wills and estates, bankruptcy, of course, if you bankrupt, tax court, different types of cases, right? Personal jurisdiction, in persona. Definition: the court's authority over the parties involved in the lawsuit. Do the court have authority over those people or persons that's in front of them in the court? Residency, presence in the state, or consent. See, they can get personal jurisdiction simply through consent. That's most of how criminal cases are launched, through your consent. Key case: International Shoe Company versus Washington, 1945. Territorial jurisdiction. The court's authority is limited to a certain geographical area, state, county, district. That's another one. Territorial. Because I see cases where the Fed, the District of Columbia, is bringing tax criminal charges against someone that lives in one of the sovereign states, the republic's states, and then they invite them down to D.C. to try them. And the people actually leave their state and go. Remember what I said. This is always, I've read this so many times. So let me frame it again. District of Columbia wants to come after you, and they send you an invitation, a subpoena or something. Come on down here. They answer this. You need to travel from your state, and I've seen this many times. And I know the remedy, which I'm not going to speak of on the air here, but most people have heard me say this if you're in my private membership. They say, come here and hear this. We think you did something wrong, and we want you to come answer to us. Come on over here, or at your own expense. That's D.C., which is the District of Columbia, United States. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this lesson again. Let's do this lesson again. I don't like this one here. I'll probably read that too. I'll deal with that one at the seminar. Let me get one more simpler. This one is one I was reading. It's a little convoluted. Let's do this. This one should be exactly what I need. Let's see if I can share my screen. And I'm not gonna read all the boring stuff. So this is the United States powers, and right here it says to exercise right here in this section right here, to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles square. So that means that the powers the United States have do not exceed 10 miles square unless by cession, as may by cession of particular states. Cession means, let's see what cession. I've read this so many times. A formal giving up of rights, property, or territory by a state. So if they don't have the jurisdiction to bring you down there, so basically you have to formally give up your rights and accept their invitation and voluntarily go. There's a backstory to this that I can't really talk about on the air here, but people do it all the time. They do it all the time. They just walk into Disneyland, as somebody put it. Disneyland with a dark twist. That's what it is. I know this. Everybody that I know that I've come in contact with that voluntarily went down there, they never came back out through the same door they went into. Never, ever, ever, ever have they never, ever, ever come back. 100%. Now, I've talked to people like, yo, jurisdiction. I mean, when I was reading to you guys about jurisdiction, the clue was there. It said the court's authority is limited to certain geographical areas. See, so people really, because it's the federal government. I even had this debate with a guy who used to work with a barbershop. He was a highway patrol. He was retired. Medically retired. And they're like, the feds, they can go anywhere. No, they can't. They have to be escorted in the states to transact business for the United States. So that means they have to contact the sheriff of that county and say, hey, I'm here. Notify the attorney general, then they got to notify the true law officer of the county and say, I'm here, I'm doing business here, this is where I need to go. I need an escort. Why? Because the escort, who is going to be one of the deputy sheriffs, is going to make sure he does what he's supposed to do. And not, they're supposed to see to it that your constitutionally protected rights are not violated. But of course, we know because they poisoned their minds and miseducated them, they think the other way around. I mean, you guys got no. They can't go on the lands of the Republic without permission. Jurisdiction. But there's certain places that you do transact business in that you have left the United States, like post office or postal service. You go to any, that's federal territory. You go to the airport, federal territory. A bank, federal territory. FDIC bank, insured banks are federal territory. State credit unions are not federal territories. Okay? Any bank that you're dealing with that's federally insured, that's a United States territory. That's its jurisdiction. That is considered, y'all want to hear? You ready? That is considered within the 10 miles squared. Of the United States. That is considered. They call it 10 miles square. 10 miles square. Y'all think they're talking about a square? Yes, they are. But it's also a symbolic square. So anything that's federally connected is within the four corners of that square. Okay? That's why it's important that you do your passport so you do not fall within that square. Y'all doing it as American nationals, you're outside of the square. You're making sure you're the agent for the social, which is in the, let's not get it twisted, that social is in the 10-mile square, but it has rights as well and privileges. Well, the problem is we just don't, a lot of us don't know how to manage that estate or that partnership that I spoke about earlier. You see? You inside the federal, because a lot of times you go to the airport, you got welcome to, I know I used to leave Charlotte Airport. They say welcome to North Carolina when I left the airport. I was in the 10-mile square of the United States. District of Columbia. Its tentacles reach far. It's like a vessel sitting on the sea. In this docked at many ports at once. Jurisdiction is everything. But we need to learn how to execute jurisdiction, understand jurisdiction, and how to apply it. The rules in a civil court, how I move in a civil court, is always going to be different than a criminal court. I really got to establish who the person is. I run in there, I'm doing business as the corporation, blah, blah, blah. That's false. That's not a corporation. It's a partnership. And guess what? It's an unincorporated association as well. In partnership. When the Social Security Administration created the Social Security for you, for your child, whatever, they created a DBA. United States Corporation doing business as that old cat name. That is the DBA of the government. But it has many names as a DBA. DBA, and what is the address of the DBA? What is the address of the DBA? Whatever address you give it. That's why if you give it your address where you lay your head, the United States is doing business right there at that address. I ain't never heard of put that. Have y'all heard that? Yeah, no, y'all didn't get that. Listen, I came into this information 10 years ago, green. Like I barely knew anything. But I'm going to tell you right now, because even when I was rolling with certain people, I was holding back. Things I knew and understood, I didn't say. One thing, because I knew people would hate, when the people start to see something, they hate. Y'all see what happened with the passport, right? Yeah, but that was important. That needed to be let go, released, because since it happened, guess what? They changed the application process. Shoot, they even changing the banking process for people opening up their church bank accounts. So that's got to be tightened up. No problem. I'm ready for them. Most of these guys are sitting using the same old Dallas Cowboys playbook from 1970. That's a figure of speech. Most of these guys are still using the same old playbook because they're only looking for new people. They're not trying to keep the old people interested and keep them upgrading. What I try to do is I want new people, but I also want the people that are sticking with me and still trying to get this information and keep this information going. Upgrade. Advance. There's people that was with me years ago. They coming back to the scene. Man, dang, things have changed that much. Yeah, you got off the train. Now you basically got to go back in and restudy and do these things. That's what I'm. See, they said don't. I always told you guys never get to straw man mail where you lay your head at. Don't let that stuff go to the tombstone or the coffin. Why? Because that DBA is doing business there, and it's a United States partnership. Not corporation. It's a DBA. It's not incorporated. It's unincorporated. Why would they unincorporate it? Leave it in the unincorporated status? Because they're doing exactly what I've been teaching y'all how to do. Why would they want it in an unincorporated status? Why? Now, I do realize unincorporated associations, unincorporated entities, they're really there are no real statutes to govern them. Sophia said not to go any further. I was about to say why, but why will happen on Saturday? Why would they leave it in that status? And it's right in front of you. Why they would do it that way. And that's as far I'm willing to disclose right now. I'll disclose that. I'll open up that can of worms. That rabbit hole, we'll look down that rabbit hole on Saturday. Why it's important for them to keep that as an unincorporated association. How many people on? 10 people. Whoever's not on is missing out. Missing out big time. See, I fully understand unincorporated associations now and the true power of them. Now, I was introduced to unincorporated associations years ago, and I got to give credit to where credit is due. The very first person I worked with was Jonah Bay, and he told me to do that, right? But I never got clarity, like, why are we doing it? And that's generally because that was someone else was teaching that, so they go along with these trends without really understanding why. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but I didn't get the full understanding. But I understand now that I'm setting up churches, and then I'm reading these different case laws related to churches, which I'll be reading these case laws at the seminar, showing you the power of what you're doing. I think some of you have churches set up, but y'all really don't understand its power. And if I'm going to record it, but I'm going to charge I'm going to recoup my time from the recording. And I would appreciate y'all donate to the cause, because it cost me a flight to get there and all the expenses involved in doing this. This is not free. Someone is giving us a space to use. They could be renting that out to someone. So when you show up, let's bless the event, the people who put this free event on for you guys. Thank them. They didn't have to do that. And the information that I'm going to be giving there is going to be invaluable. Trust me. It's going to be stuff said in that seminar that I have never really dug deep in ever in any other seminar before. I promise you, because I have the full faith and credit, the full backing of Sophia with this seminar. So if y'all ain't gonna be, if y'all don't show up, y'all missing out. I know this is gonna be a powerful seminar. It's gonna be one of its kind. I know. I got a lot of support from people. Shouts out to different ones that Raquel, she put it together. She's the one who got the hall. And then people who is gonna be helping me get there. Special thanks to those. I don't know if they want me to mention their names on the air. I'll get their permission, then I'll give them a shout out. First, But a lot of people put work into getting this together. And I was moved to say, you know what? I'm not going to charge my usual fees to do this. I'm for a long time been so far away from the old information, but the old information is new information too. Because really the old information must be relooked at, but especially what I just talked about. How you're operating and holding a DBA, you're an agent for a DBA that is connected through the SSA, Social Security Administration, aka Postal Service, and also the United States Treasury. Direct connection. Where's my notebook? Right here. I'm making a list. Because right now I'm under the influence of Sophia, so I gotta write this stuff down. Because when I come down off this influence, I go back to just regular old Hakeem. So I'm making notes so that I can trigger. Okay, what else? All right, so I don't forget. Some say he can't make it, but he'll give the asking amount for the recording. Man, I wish you could, brother. Who's out there? Peace, everybody. In La Vida, peace. Back to you. Yes, you can. Indy Cirque said, peace, brother. Yes, go to Akima. If you want to get a church set up, properly, AkeemL.com. AkeemL.com. Set up a consultation. We could talk about it. DJ OJ. Peace to all. Joseph Henson said, peace and blessings to all. And I'm working on some information someone is sending me that I'm going to look over, that I'm going to be bringing to help. And it's got to do with negotiable insurance. Somebody's supposed to send me. They said they got the Holy Grail, and they're going to send me a book as a offering to show that what they know. I'm looking at it, vetting it. Again, protect your rights through the Constitution, May 24th, 2024, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., Crystal Ballroom, 240 East 123rd Street, New York, 10035. It's a donation-based seminar. We're going to talk about authenticated birth certificates and their usefulness, 14th Amendment, indigenous rights, usefulness, and $14th Amendment, which a lot of people have talked about it years, but I think it's time to revisit that too. And in your indigenous rights. Indigenous rights is not just relegated to who they call Native Americans or who they think label Native Americans. You were born here. You're indigenous. Right? They played you into thinking that you're not indigenous. You're African American. You weren't originally from here. Yes, you were. You were originally from here. And you are originally the people of the Bible. That those people in the Bible that were hard-headed and stiff-necked, that was you, your ancestors. Think about it. Who's a more stiff-necked people in this country that follow trends that actually destroy their communities? Okay? Come out of that stupor. See, the biggest game was to make you think that your ancestors come from somewhere else so that you don't look right in front of you and realize that you were the chosen people of this land for the Lord that was over this land, this part of the world, this part of the planet. This is where they touched down first. When they left. That's why you have all of these buildings covered in mud, floods everywhere. There was some flood that no one is talking about. I know I'm going into other stuff right now. We're not talking about jurisdiction, but we are talking about jurisdiction because you need to know where you're from, really from, not based on these textbooks that tell you where you're from. You know this is your granddaddy, your grandmammy's land. You know that. They wanted to trick you out of your inheritance. This is why they had to lie, kill, and steal to even take it from you. And then go through a mass re-educational propaganda campaign to displace you mentally. And then why we here today? Because for their own survival, they had to promote the lie to their children to keep them safe. prisoners of war. And not just a man-made word, a prisoner of a religious spiritual war. Prisoners. And why we don't think it's a prison or we're prisoners is because you're able to go out and have some type of freedom with restrictions. Freedom is freedom. It doesn't come with restrictions. I can travel, but I have to have this in order to travel. Right? That's not real freedom. Peace, DJ B Thunder. Said evening to everyone. And I say to everyone, peace, prosperity, extreme wealth to you guys. And I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to sign off. I think I fed you guys some good information. All right, but I hope to see some of you guys there. I already know some people from the group are going to be there. I saw them sign up. And if you're going to sign up, go to akimel.com, click the, what's the tab? Click the events tab. And it's right there. All right. All right, with that being said, peace and prosperity and extreme. Let me see what I want to leave you guys with. Let's see. I think I'll leave you guys with this one. Peace.
Peace, everybody. I want to talk about this trend right now where ginger folks are calling themselves black. Ginger, redheads, Irish. Let's look at this clip I'm about to show you. And then after that, I'll share my opinion. Peace.